Hi, everyone. I'm Arya. My name has become very popular thanks to the TV show Game of Thrones, but there's an interesting story behind how I got this name. Arya means air in Italian. So why was I named Air? Because I was born on an airplane, and that was the name chosen by the Italian pilot. You heard that right. I was born 16 years ago on board an airplane in the middle of a transatlantic flight. According to official records, the odds of being born on an airplane are 1 in 26 million. There have been nearly 50 babies born in the air so far. Of course, these were all unexpected births. My mom was on her way to visit my grandmother who had broken her hip. But for whatever reason, I decided to enter this world during her trip and became one of those 50 babies. Even though there were a lot of mishaps during my birth, I'm so happy that I was born on a plane because I have an interesting birth story. And also, the airline gifted me a golden ticket. Thanks to this, I can fly anywhere in the world for free. Now, let me tell you my story from the beginning. My parents are both mining engineers. At the time, they were working at a gold mine in India. My mom was planning to give birth to me there. But when my grandmother, who lived in New York, fell down the stairs and broke her hip, my mom wanted to go right away because there was nobody else that could look after her. Airlines have different policies when it comes to pregnant passengers. The airline my mom was flying allowed women to fly until they were 38 weeks pregnant. Because my mom was 36 weeks, or 8 months pregnant at the time, she had no trouble buying a ticket. My mom says I was already very active earlier that day. 5 hours after takeoff, she suddenly started getting labor pains. At first, she thought it was due to stress, but after a while, when the contractions began, she called one of the flight attendants. She said, "I have bad news for you. I think I'm going to have a baby." They immediately moved my mom up to first class. The captain came over to her shortly after. He said, "We're currently flying close to the polar circle. We can't possibly do an emergency landing. Will you be okay for the next 4 hours?" My mom was getting worried and told him, "My contractions are getting closer together. That means labor is going to start in 15 to 20 minutes. The chief flight attendant made an announcement saying, "We have a passenger who's about to go into labor. Is there a doctor on board?" When no one answered, she tried again, this time saying, "A passenger is having a baby in 15 minutes. Is there a doctor, a nurse, a midwife, or even a pharmacist? Anyone who's in healthcare?" One of the passengers said, "My daughter is in medical school. She's very scared, but I think there's a chance she may be able to help you." The girl was so nervous. She snapped at her mother saying, "Mom, I'm just in my 3rd year. I've never even seen anyone give birth. You probably know more about it than I do. You've at least done it yourself." But when the chief flight attendant said, "I understand, but you're the only person on this plane who knows anything about healthcare. Please help us," she had no choice but to say yes. They cleared the first class section to prepare for labor. As you know, first class seats can turn into comfortable beds. Flight attendants converted that space into a small hospital room and laid my mom down. Then they brought hot water and towels, just like in the movies. But just when they thought everything was okay, they realized that the medical student had disappeared. After searching for a while, they found her hiding in the bathroom. She'd locked herself in there because she was so scared. Her mom went to the bathroom door and started begging her. They finally convinced her to come out. When she was finally brought to first class, she was crying and saying, "I can't do it! I can't do it!" My mom had been pretty calm until then. When she saw the girl, she started crying too. The chief flight attendant saw that things were getting out of hand and decided to take control of the situation. First of all, she sent the girl back to her seat. Then she turned to my mom and said the magic word, "Push!" Once my mom heard that, she stopped crying and started pushing. And sure enough, shortly after, she gave birth to me. All the passengers on the plane were waiting anxiously. The pilot's announcement broke the silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, we realize there's a stowaway on board because her name is not on the passenger list. In fact, this little passenger doesn't even have a name. With her mother's permission, I've named her Arya. It means air in my mother tongue. I want to extend a warm welcome to Arya, who was born in the air." Relieved by the pilot's announcement, the passengers broke into applause. The captain called my dad on his cell phone to give him the news and then put my mom on. Because there were no video calls back then, Dad was only able to listen to my crying. After landing, they took my mom and me straight to the hospital. The doctor examined us and said there was nothing wrong with either of us. My dad came to New York the following week. When he went to deal with the paperwork, the official asked him about my place of birth. When Dad said Arya was born on a plane, she was surprised. She told him, "Unfortunately, in the air is not one of the options. The closest one is at sea. We can put that if you like." My dad had to say yes to that. So my passport says I was born at sea. I love showing it to people and saying, "Actually, I wasn't born at sea, but in the air," and telling them how it happened. That is my birth story. Now let me tell you about my golden ticket. As I said earlier, I can fly anywhere in the world for free. About a month after I was born, the airline called my parents and invited them to their headquarters. The general manager explained that there are some superstitions in aviation, just like in seafaring. Apparently, it's a very good sign when a baby is born on a plane. He said they were going to rename the plane I was born on after my mother. Then he added, "And we will give Arya a golden ticket so she can travel on our planes for free for the rest of her life." Which of course made my parents really happy. You might have heard before that babies born in the air fly everywhere for free, but that's not exactly true for every baby. Yes, there are lucky babies like me who get the golden ticket, but there is no set rule about it. If the airline wants to give them a golden ticket, they do. If they choose not to, no one asks them why they didn't. One more thing. Some airlines that give out golden tickets announce it publicly and others don't. For example, our airline chose not to make an announcement. I know some of you might be jealous of me. You might be thinking, "I wish my mom gave birth to me in the air." Just think about it. If I decided to go to Japan today, I could get on a plane tonight and be in Tokyo tomorrow. This really is an incredible opportunity, but of course it's not as simple as that. Yes, the flight might be free, but if I don't have enough money for other expenses like hotels and food, there's no point for me going to Tokyo. Also, because I can't travel alone, either my mom or my dad needs to come with me, and of course, they need to pay for their own plane tickets. This is why I haven't been able to use my golden ticket much so far. Now I'm looking forward to turning 18. After finishing high school, I won't start college right away. First, I will go on a trip around the world for a year. I want to visit at least 50 countries. I'll be waitressing wherever I go to make money, so I'll be working and traveling at the same time. Besides, some days I'll be sleeping on the plane instead of paying for a hotel room. Let's say I'm in Paris. From there, I'll get a ticket to Cuba. That's a 10-hour flight. I'll eat a good meal once I'm on the plane. Then I'm going to sleep there as if I'm in a hotel room. After a good night's sleep, I'll wake up in Havana. It sounds wild to treat the plane like a hotel, but I'll be able to do that thanks to my golden ticket. I'd love it if you could give me some recommendations for my trip. Which countries or cities should I visit? And please tell me why you recommend those places. I hope that by the time I start my trip, the pandemic will finally be over and I can travel safely.